And good afternoon, everybody. It's Tom Chenault, and this is the Tom Chenault Show. And today, you can tell we are doing the menage a trois. It is unbelievable. We've got, or what? Is that what that is? I don't know what it's called. So anyway, something like that. I have no idea what it's called.
I'm leaving.
But,
Okay, what am I doing? I flew in here. What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, I have a reputation.
There's three of us here. It will be fun, and we are happy that you're watching. And this is going to be a great show. As you know, I have been around this planet for probably 67 years. And I think that's about right. And inside of that, I have been fired so many times, but not nearly as many times as I was supposed to be fired. And the reason was they couldn't fire me. And that reason for that was because my Rolodex, so to speak, my contact list was so powerful that they couldn't afford to get rid of me no matter what. So what they would do is they would hire me and try to get rid of me right before the hand grenade went off in most transactions, but they never did it right. You know, it always blew up and then off to the next deal, but they couldn't fire me because I knew so many people. And as we launched this contact mapping app with my friend Marc, my son, Adrian Chenault, who's actually also my friend, that wasn't incorrect. Yeah. And Marc, so we thought, who better than Marc Cohen? And Marc Cohen, the reason we brought him on, every morning I would get on Facebook and I would see the most unbelievable quotes on my Facebook wall. And I would look at the people that were completely tagged with me on this thing, and I said, this guy knows more people than anybody in network marketing. He must be an unbelievable network marketer. And because to me, I'm all encompassed as a network marketer. But there's so much more to life than being even identified as a network marketer. You want to be identified as that person that connects and builds networks. This is the king of that. Say hi to Marc Cohen, everybody.
Hey, Tom, we're so grateful to be here today.
Yeah.
Adrian, we're really excited. You know, I couldn't ask for a better introduction than that, and I really appreciate that.
He was on the dating game in 1979. I know he wants me to get that.
That's number 3. That's it. And we won, you know, believe it or not.
Big shareholder earlier in the day in Herbalife. Huge guy. Put together huge deals for network marketing things. Those are all accolades that you find out off of LinkedIn and things like that. When you find out the true man underneath any conversation, which he is a genius at doing, that's when things start to come together for you, right?
Absolutely. And you know, all I do is ask you, hello, how you doing? And we start a conversation. And that conversation over the many years that I have been in business and in life has changed and solved so many different angles to make this world a better place. Every time I say hello to somebody, the newest person I meet, I could go back 30 years ago and that same person is available for me today.
And once you meet somebody, you look them in the eye and say, nice to meet you. And whatever you're doing in your life, if they're not a fit for what you're doing in your life that way, do you just blow them off, or do you still treat them like a human being? Do you still try to do something that's going to have them remember you? And do you want to remember them at that same level, even though you didn't make a transaction today?
You know, every day is a new day. And I blame it on, you know, one person, the man upstairs there. He has given me the vision before something happens. He has always connected me to be at the right place at the right time. So I see this valuable thing that I am the conduit to reach that next person. That next person, you never know, will be needed somewhere, somehow. So I'm very passionate about that today.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get across to you guys is that even though you think, you know, because you're so one-dimensional, and I'm going to tell you the story of Marcel Fairman right now. Should I tell that story? Is that all right?
Yeah.
This is Adrian, by the way. He doesn't talk much. So here's
spoken to.
That's exactly right. So I'll never forget this. I walked in a restaurant one time. I was going down to buy a new car. I was going to buy a brand new Lexus. So I called my friends down in Littleton, and I said, I'm coming down to Littleton. Let's have a party at the restaurant. So we go down to the restaurant. My friend Cal says, you need to meet this guy. And he sold me to everybody as an important talk show host and all this jazz. I walk in, and this guy named Marcel Fairman is in the restaurant. And he's good-looking guy sitting across the room, standing across the room. He comes across to meet me. I go, hi, Marzell, nice to meet you. And Marzell says, hi to me, and nice to meet you, Tom. Sticks out his hand, I stick out my hand, we shake hands. Then I say, what do you do, Marzell? He says, I'm an insurance salesman for State Farm or somebody like that. I said, really, that's cool. My brother's a farmer's insurance agent. Marzell's eyes immediately glazed over like a screensaver, and he turned around without saying another word and walked away. And I went, what the hell just happened? So I chased him down. And Marzell, I found him after 20 years and told him the story, and he was laughing. So don't think I'm saying something, if you want to look him up, Google him and tell him he was just on the radio, that's great. So then Marzell, I chased him down. I go, what happened? He goes, nothing, man. It was nice to meet you. I go, no. Here's what's happened. You knew I was a radio guy. You knew you wanted to meet me so you could either come on the radio or something, or I would buy insurance from you. The minute I told you my brother was an agent, I was no longer a prospect right now, and you completely spun on your heel because I was no good to you anymore and walked away. He goes, oh, no, man, that isn't. I said, do you know anybody at Cooney Lexus? He goes, yeah, I know a guy up there. Because that's where he works. I go, had you stuck around and just said a couple of more things to me, you would have found out I was here to buy a very expensive Lexus. And you could have called your buddy on the phone and said, hey, I got a friend here that's trying to buy a Lexus. I'm going to send him up. How much money do I make? Or anything like that. Or you could have just done a good deed and stayed interested. But no, we're so dimensional, especially in network marketing, that the minute somebody's not a prospect, we throw them out without really treating them like that human being, which is exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to do, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Long story, probably boring, but really made sense to me.
I loved it, though.
I lived through it.
You got to treat everybody the same. And you know what? What do you have to give? What do you have to offer? You have to ask them, what can I do for you today? It's not about me. It's about the other person. I have been so blessed that I can see the vision. So Tom, it's similar. I connect the dots. If somebody needs a soccer guy, Major League Soccer, I have that guy. Somebody needs to get involved with something with, inventory control, I got that guy. Anything to do with products and services for the consumer, I'm the guy to talk to. Because I have somebody, or if I don't have somebody, I have so many contacts that I'll get to the next guy.
Yeah, you know a guy, right?
I know somebody.
And that's served you so well, Adrian. I mean, that's been your life before, and now it's really your life. I mean, you are levering that up like crazy, right?
To be the person that is the one that someone has come to mind first when they go, I need somebody, there's something that is highly important and valuable to me, and I can't figure out how to do it. Who do I call? If you can be that person, the value in that, not only from a humanity perspective, but from a business perspective, is just immense. And I was talking to a friend of ours named Michael Booman just on the way over here today.
Oh, Booman. They don't call him Michael. His friends call him Booman.
Booman he is. So he is driving down the road today, and he is just another one of these connectors. He is the third amigo in the Marc Cohen, Tom Chenault, and that's the trifecta.
Right on.
That's the real menage a trois. So anyway, so I'm talking to him today, and he goes, I'm driving down the road. I'm coming through Denver. It's the day before the 4th of July. I have a bum jet ski on the back of my truck, and I'm thinking, who do I call that's going to be able to find me somebody that can help me with that problem? And Tom Chenault's the first person that came to his mind. And if you can be that person, not just in your area of expertise, whether that's network marketing or real estate or whatever it is, but if you can just be that person who knows everybody, who gives first, who listens, who wants to help, so many good things are going to come to you as a result of being that person.
I agree, 100%. Adrian, the connector is really the most important person, because somebody needs help, and that help really is needed to prosper your friend or the company. And a lot of people don't ask for it, and I'm the person that can help and show you how to ask for something also. That's an amazing thing to do. People come to me and say, well, how can I get to this level? How can we do this I can't get this product? I really don't go into a company and tell them, oh, you're going to change stuff around, you're going to, have a different direction. I let that person do what they know best. And what they know best is their business. I could just be that other contact that can bring in additional revenues in different areas for them. And I constantly do the same thing every single day of my connections. And I love doing it, basically, because we see success. And the success will bring that hope, inspiration, build that legacy. I mean, that's what I'm all about. How can we build a legacy for my kids, my grandkids for the future? You know, the most important thing is to get needed products, people want, people can, you know, with their health. Everybody has this vessel here in them, and that heart is the most important thing. And if you relate back to all the things that are in life today, it's your health, your wellness, you know, what you eat, your energy, how you can then, you know, move forward with how you could change the world. And that is the most important thing for me.
And the most important thing, you guys, is I don't know anything. I will never need something in textiles or in anything that he's an expert in. Never, ever, ever. But I'm going to be down in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm going to wonder about a great restaurant, or I'm going to wonder about a friend of mine down there. And the first person I always call is the person I feel in that area to be the most connected, to hook me up with the most important thing. I don't care what his expertise is. I care that he knows everybody. And as a result of him being that connected and knowing everybody, he's indispensable to me. So he doesn't have to have a whole lot of knowledge in his head. He has to have a lot of love in his heart to become that connector. And I'm telling every one of you watching, Tracy Cox down in New Zealand, Pamela Schwartz down in Florida, every one of you, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that you can become that connector if you shift. And it's a hard, hard shift from interesting to interested, right?
Absolutely. And you know, I have to tell you, I work with a lot of companies, corporate companies, as far as, you know, how they can bring this value for corporate America. So it's not just direct marketing, it's the way of life. Everybody needs, if somebody gets sick, Tom, they need a doctor.
Right.
You know, your health, how we can live longer. As far as the food we eat, it doesn't need to be in direct marketing, it's forms of life. That's why we need to connect mapping.
There's a
contact mapping.
There's a person watching,
Oh, okay.
and she's going to be gone. We're taking a break here, but we don't really take a break, so don't hang up. My cousin from New York, she's in charge of real estate procurement for whatever IBM is now, like their IBM or their Lenovo.
Right.
She travel. If I ever need anybody in that world, I call my cousin Deidre. I know a guy, and that's all you need. Or she happens to be a woman. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. I love doing that.
It's a long break.
Oh, how about my cousin Deidre? Isn't that cute? She's watching.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Is she on there? Good.
Yeah, she's much older.
How can we make her day better?
Huh?
How can we make it better for her, though? We can make it better for her with the contacts and make her life even better.
Her kids
I have contacts.
She doesn't care about anything except this little grandkids in Philly. That's the only thing.
That's where I'm from.
See what I'm
See?
talking?
There you go.
And yep, and her kids, her kids and her grandkids. That's all they care about. And he's a Philly guy. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Now we want to flip over and talk about this because I've got Adrian here. No, I think I want to. Yeah, I'll talk about this right now. All right, hold that that other card up. That card right there, Mark. Hold it so they can see it on the screen.
Yep.
So this is Defy Ventures. Go to defyventures.org. This is the Colorado State Penitentiary's pilot program. It's all over the United States where citizens like Adrian right there in that picture, this is a note from a bunch of convicts that are in for life and long sentences at Colorado State Penitentiary who have decided instead of doing their time, they're going to do their time. And they're going to do it and come out of there, or maybe never come out of there, as unbelievable productive people.
Wow.
It's the most amazing thing. So Denise and Adrian and I were one of 3 of 20 people. Was it 20 of us that went to Adrian?
20 of us, yep.
Largest crowd ever to go to Colorado State Penitentiary in the maximum security area, and it changed our lives, didn't it, Paco?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So this program is teaching entrepreneurship, but it's really teaching self-ownership to these people who, you know, really have learned a lot of natural skills of sort of how to hustle. They've just used those skills for things that have gotten them into trouble because they were trying to survive and they were trying to navigate through some really tough situations. And what this program does is not only teach them how to redeploy those skills in a way that's productive in society, but it teaches them that it helps them to rediscover that they have value, that society hasn't forgotten about them, that people care about them. And it was one of the most transformative experiences of our lives to get to go and spend time in Colorado State Penitentiary with this group of people. And we're getting ready in September to go down there, and they're going to be graduating. This is the first time that they've done the cohort here in Colorado. Governor Hickenlooper is going to be down there for one of the groups here in September, and they're taking this group all the way through. The people who run that in Colorado have just shown unbelievable grit and unbelievable commitment to making sure that these people have a great experience through some challenges that they've had on their own end. And I just couldn't be more proud to be a part of the Colorado group of this specifically, because it's just a group of people who refuses to do anything other than serve these people that otherwise might never have this kind of opportunity.
And all of us have gotten really mad to a level that you've never gotten mad before, and you stopped. And so you're not in a maximum security prison. But I'll tell you what, after going down there and talking to those human beings for 9 hours, an unbelievable day of emotion at a level you never could believe. We're only inches and minutes or seconds away from being in those same situations ourselves. And why we're not is why we're not. I'm not trying to tell you those people are innocent or they didn't deserve the sentence that they've got. But I'll tell you what, to be going down there and being able to make a difference with people like that is a gift from God. But it also showed me how many people are suffering in a prison in their own mind, not in a prison cell, but the one right between their ears. That's unbelievable. Marianne's telling me we're coming back right now from this break. So give me a couple seconds. We're going right back. We're regular radio right now. And we are back. It's Tom Chenault. It's Marianne Niehaus, the producer, the incredible producer, and she's got another woman named Pamela Ann Schwartz who's doing all kinds of stuff on this show for her. A guy named James Earl Moore who's just drinking water. And we've got Marc Cohen on here along with me, and we've got Adrienne Chenault, who is a very, very, it's really sad, actually. I just noticed this because I've got the biggest head on the face of the earth. It is like gigantic.
It's like a lunar eclipse over here.
Whenever I'm in pictures, I am like way in back. But because Adrian is so cruel, he put himself back there. So he looks like a BB on a 4-lane highway. And I look like E.T. And it is so tragic. Plus, I got this damn haircut. So they cut all my hair off. So there's that much more face. And the last bad thing about this whole deal is we should have Boston Market should be our sponsor because we look like a bunch of rotisserie chickens in here.
Absolutely.
It is so hot under these lights that we're sweating like madmen. It's unbelievable. But we're back to the show. It's all about connections, this show. It is so important that we actually asked Marc to fly here from Arizona because it was so perfect talking to him on the pre-interview about who he is. Because he's not a network marketer. That's the beautiful thing about it. But he's doing network marketing. He's doing marketing because he's nothing but connection. And he's nothing but karmic connection. And if you guys get that, instead of being into this whole what's in it for me, it's what's in it for them, it's going to turn out. You've done phenomenally well. I mean, going from there to Jordache Jeans to getting again on the dating, what's it called? Dating
game.
The dating game.
Dating game. That was
in
fun.
what year?
79.
And how old were you?
We were 19.
Here's how bad an ADD I am. We're driving down the road, and he said, I was on the dating game in 79, and my mind goes, he was 79 when he was on the dating game? And I look over at you because I realized my mistake, and I wanted to remember my thought, because I'm a whack job. I'm like the unsmartest guy you've ever met, but I have the ability to remember things. And Bill Clinton, everybody talks about Clinton being so smart. You know, he went to Oxford. He was all this, he was all that. You know, politically, I don't care what you're thinking, except you should read his book called The President is Missing, because it is an unbelievable novel about what goes on in the life of the president and how dangerous it is that everything we have is tied to the internet. And if the internet ever goes down, we've got problems. Great novel, not trying to sell that book. back to Clinton. Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. And everybody goes, well, yeah, because he went to Oxford. And he goes, no. Clinton said that had nothing to do with it. Every human being I've ever met in my life, I met them. I shook their hand. I said, do you have a card? As soon as I got the card, I wrote notes, everything about them on the little card, everything that I could remember about the way they looked, about their family, and I had it completely set up. And that's how I became not only the governor of Arkansas, but the president of the United States. And I'll promise you one thing right now, I've never believed anything out of Clinton's mouth more than that.
Well, I want to tell you.
I want to tell you.
He did wonderful things in the textile industry when I was there. And you know, he just created an opportunity for everybody. It's who he knew. His messaging was incredible. You know, my father used to tell me, Mark, when you go in and meet somebody, shake their hand, look at them straight in the eye, and show them your energy back to them. And then most important, he said to me, write down the date that you met them, who they are, where they're from, because they didn't have phones. And my dad collected stuff, and he had every business card that he ever had. He died at 80 years old, and I will tell you, that's how I learned. This is the torch that we have. This is why I'm here. One side of my life is because of my father. He was the best salesman in the world. He was incredible. He would sell snow to, what do they call it? The Eskimos. And you know, I lived in an area in Philly, you know, I came from a very humbling family. My parents said, you know what, keep the faith. My mom was my inspiration. And you know what she did more than anything else? Mark, you can go out and do anything you want to do. And you know, I still live with that today. I pass that along to my kids, make a difference in the world. That's what we're here for. We're here every single day. But now it's come to a point where I said, now we're global. How could we then expand that? Same thing that I've been doing for 30 years in business and in life, selling my business to the Chinese government. I was the first clothing company to sell to mainland China in 1985. What did I do? I had an idea. Well, let's see. China and through the Fujian province, through Hong Kong, I had a company in Los Angeles. I was manufacturing for all the chains at that time. Private label. Again, dream.
They didn't even have airplanes. Okay, we got to take a fast break.
Okay.
So you got to hold that thought till after the break and the whole break. So hold that thought because I want to continue that on and I'll never remember it. But we're going to come back right after this. We've got Adrian Chenault. We've got Marc Cohen. Thank you, Ted Anderson and Genesis Communication Network. We'll be right back. And back we are.
Ted Knighton almost got an inadvertent shout out on the Genesis radio.
Yeah, we almost talked about you can't see. I'm not contact mapping, so I can't grab all those names. So you're all wondering how on earth I am writing notes and also being on the air. And I just noticed I was also messing with my teeth on camera, so if that was completely goofy, I'm sorry, but I had something in my tooth and I couldn't get it out. But the fact, and Marianne was like waving at me going, but anyway, it's so cool having this production studio here because we can really have fun with it. But during the break, let's talk about contact mapping as a business a little bit, but we're going to talk about the thought process. So you're the brains behind contact mapping. And when I first started talking about it, the first person who popped up and said that's a genius idea was Marc Cohen. So first of all, Adrian, tell people where it is, how to find it, and go from there, and then we'll keep moving.
Yeah, perfect. So I want you to head over after you hear this to contactmapping.com. You can download the app either from the Android Play Store or from the Apple App Store. You get to try it for 30 days for free. And it really is going to change your life. And Mark, I loved what you said a minute ago about the way that your dad passed this on to you, because I really think what we are doing with contact mapping, it's really kind of the old school principles of the way that you should build relationships that has become this lost art. And all we're trying to do is reinfuse that into a modern society that's all about looking good and trying to be an influencer and do all this goofy stuff. And what we're trying to do is just turn that on its head and just go, just listen, just look the person in the eye, just pay attention to what matters to them and have the conversation from what's in it for them, and what's in it for you will take care of itself. And so the philosophy behind contact mapping is all that old school stuff that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And all we've done is taken that and built that into a smartphone app that goes with you wherever you are. And so then, instead of having to thumb through the pile of papers that your poor dad was probably carrying around in a briefcase by the time he was 80 years old, that's in your pocket. And you walk through the door, and you look across the room, and you go, who was that guy? And you can't think of their name, but you remember that you talked to them about car racing, or that you talked to them about their trip to Australia, or whatever it was, and you look them up in the snap of a finger based on what you remember about them, what you talked about, and you're right back to that point of relatedness. You've got their name, you've got their picture there, and that's the name of the game. So that's what it comes down to, is what this allows you to do is it gives you this way to index everything that's in your head so that you're not relying on your memory anymore. And it lets you be present in the moment, because you're not worrying about trying to make sure you catch their name and all this stuff, because you've got a place to put it. And it makes sure that you follow up the way you want to do. And so all of that just becomes easy, and it becomes automatic, and it makes you a better person.
So let me just put this into real perspective for you. So after I picked up Mark from the airport, we had a chat on the way down, and we talked about a lot of stuff. And he dropped a couple names on me. And as soon as I dropped him off, I called one of those guys. I called Jeff Weisberg. I said, is this guy really as pure and as good as it sounds like to me? And Jeff, that third party credibility, I called a guy who knew the guy. The guy I called was Jeff Weisberg. And the reason I wanted to know that was because on this show, what I really want to do is make sure I have unbelievably great contact with unbelievable people of great character. That's the most important thing to me. And I get to control the guest list. So we're in the middle of the conversation. Jeff is not wanting to talk about it whatsoever because he loves Mark so much. He got that out of the way because he wanted to ask me about another guy and another guy and another guy. And that's what being connected and being trusted and having influence does for you, for Jeff, for Mark, for the universe. That's how you do that, right?
Absolutely. And you know, the biggest thing that I would find is that you have to have the vision how you're going to connect people together. So emotionally, they might not be a fit. So you have to sit back now. All the years that I've been doing this is you have to sit back and analyze, and that's my visionary. I have a vision how we could put people together. That's really the other angle to this all, because you know you can have all the contacts, but how resource that you have there, how's that going to play out? How successful are you going to be with that contact? Everybody has contacts, but how are you going to utilize the contacts in an area that you will be able to have success?
Okay, here we go. We're going back to the regular radio again.
To the China story.
What now?
China story.
To the China story. Thank you very much, Mr. Fact Checker. We're coming back. Stick around. And we're back. It's Tom Chenault. This is the Genesis Communication Network. Want to give a shout out to Ted Anderson, again, the owner of that network, and Michael Zwirling. Those guys keep me on the air. We've been doing this for a very, very long time. Obviously, they've got a blowtorch of a radio network, and for me to get to be residing on it on just an hour of airtime a week on all their stations is a gift, and I can never say thank you enough to you guys for trusting in me, and I always want to make sure you know I know how lucky I am. So we've got Marc Cohen with us. This is the connector, and that's all this is. And is he a network marketer? Yeah, he markets his network. Is he into the multi-level marketing business? Yes and no. He's so connected that if I were to ask him a question like, I really need a leader down in Arizona, his mind would immediately turn on to who he could introduce me to down there that needed me as much as I need them. Because his entire focus in life is doing good. And that's amazing to me. I want to be him when I grow up. Go ahead.
That's very nice.
That's a true story.
I appreciate that.
Fact.
You know, I know that. I just want to just help as many people as I can. You know, everybody's going through so much stress, and everybody has, you know, pain and suffering. And, you know, if I can make somebody feel good and connect somebody, that makes my day. You know, at the end of the day, I want to leave a legacy for my kids. I want to leave a legacy for my grandkids. I want to leave a legacy that can make a difference. So every day is so important. And, you know, there's another side of me that, you know, I've had death, I've overcome a lot. Everybody has, though. I just want to know how we can all deal with that. So I have those tools too. It's about life skills. Life skills. A connection can go into so many different directions. But remember, when you reach out that energy to other people and you need that connection, it'll come. I've had people show up in my life that I never would have dreamed about. I've been blessed that people have come into my life. And it's just amazing how you can see if you feel. If you see it, you can feel it. If you can feel it, you can see it. Ask for it. And that's where I've been really, really successful.
What do you think about all these drug addicts out there in the
Well,
world? Pretty bad deal. Those kids should
horrible.
never do drugs. They should never do drugs. Only one small problem. You get sick, they put you on opiates, and the next thing you know, you're in the trap. Can happen to anybody, couldn't it?
It happened to me, Tom.
That's why I brought it up.
Happened to me, Tom. You know, I was moving my offices in 1996 in Calabasas. I injured my back, and I'm a type A personality. I like to make changes. And, you know, my story is like this. You know, it went from back pain to, you know, mind, headaches, and so forth. And doctors said, you know, I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And I had to close my business down in '96, and we ended up moving to Scottsdale from Calabasas. But reality is that I was really, really sick. I got burnout, you know, and been very, very successful. I cared after because of what's happening with, you know, my family and so forth. And I ended up starting with 80 milligrams of Oxycontin to 120 milligrams of Oxycontin to 360 milligrams of Oxycontin a day.
Holy mackerel.
I should not be here today. In 2001, my oldest son, Asher, said, "Dad, you're not the same." And it was high holiday, Yom Kippur, and I decided to make a change. But internally, every person that has a compulsion, that has a disease, really wants to make a change. So I have tools that can help people. Yes, oh, Marc overcame it, Marc did this. Well, my brother passed 2009. You know, so I lived people. You can't have an enabler. Everybody has that enabler. But within the enabler is yourself. You have to be valuable to yourself. We only live one time. We're only here for one more day, hoping that today will be your best day. So I live for today. And how did I get off it? I'm a little different. God blessed me. I started to wean myself off. I had a treadmill next to my bed. I started exercising every day. I weighed 400 pounds. And with the support of my family, everybody needs a support system. I loved myself. I learned to love myself. I love myself so I could help love other people. And I work on it every single day of my life. I'm a compulsive person. I have a compulsive personality. But most important is that I can now live with controlling the demons that everybody has today. So, Tom, we could talk back and forth. The reason why I came in here is I have contact mapping, which I think is the best thing in the world. But you know what? I had the top doctor from fibromyalgia. I had Jacob Teitelbaum. I wanted to go to the best. How can we get better? I wanted to get off the meds. Doctor said, wean yourself off gradually. Well, I never had a prescription and basically, you know, was always waiting for that prescription. I lined up 30 days in a row. This is the time I was taking it, and that's it. So I was very structured. So I've been lucky. I had the structure to do that. But I help people get into the structure mode of what they need to live. And, you know, I just give people hope. And today, the opiate thing is the worst thing that's happening. Epidemic. I am sitting here working with the President's Council. I am sitting here working with natural ways of doing to get off of opiates. There are natural ways. And it starts with your mind. It's a mindset. The mindset is you have to exercise. If you can't exercise, you have to retrain your thinking, how we can make a better place. It's very, very difficult. I struggle with it every single day, but I'm really blessed that I'm here. That's the most important thing.
so tomorrow morning, he doesn't know this, but all you people that really, really know me, and he might know this, is I am a man of unbelievable routine at a level that it would make you crazy, because it's so hard to believe it. Because last night somebody thought I had been kidnapped because they went out to a place where I frequent, and there was my car running with the door open, the key in it, and I'm nowhere to be found. I just decided to get out of my car and go for a 5-mile run, and this guy drives by, and there's my car, so they think I've been skyjacked, or hijacked, or whatever you do, or kidnapped, that's the word I wanted. So they came and called me. First they called me, but I'm running, so I thought there's no way in the world I'm answering my phone. What's that guy want? He wants to borrow money. Steve Long, the guy that's building my home. So anyway, that's a joke. But anyway, he's rich. At the end of the day, they called my wife, and my wife goes, he's an idiot. He does that all the time. He's so ADD. He just forgets and goes. And I've done that. Denise has gotten calls from the police department before, where I was like in a shopping center, and I saw some of my friends sitting on the patio at Starbucks, and I just parked the car and got out and walked over, and door open, radio on, and it's just because I'm nuts. But that's just the way that goes. It's just exciting about me.
I have a situation today. I'm so organized and so routine. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to do my hour on the treadmill and so forth. I'm gathering everything together and so forth. And the driver comes picking me up and says, my wife Sari says, you need a life coach. Why? Well, because I'm frantic, because I want to be here on time. I want to make sure it works. But you know what? She was the best, because slow down. Everybody needs that tool of somebody. You have Denise, I have Sari, we have our kids, our grandkids, Tom, and you know, I got 40 more years left. I'm 60. We gotta keep it going.
So I digress. He went down another rabbit hole called kidding hijacked. So here we go. So every morning I walk out my door at 6:28. I do a big conference call, my favorite time of the day, to about 300 people that are just listening for something bad to happen to me. For about 10 minutes, I do that call. Then I walk to my AA meeting, and then I do that AA meeting for an hour. And then I walk down to a place called Red Frog Coffee, and I call my leaders on that trip. And then after that, I go to a place called Two Dog Diner, and I have breakfast. And this is all a long walk that's about 7 miles. But by the time I'm home at 10 o'clock in the morning, I've done all my work. So what Mark doesn't know is, if he'll go, I'll take him to my AA meeting with me tomorrow.
I'm planning.
And that will be fantastic for him, fantastic for them, fantastic for the universe. But I'm telling you, personal development, which AA is, or any other thing that you're doing to make yourself a better person each day, is something that's so critical to every one of us. He got his life back from a catastrophe called opioid addiction. He got his life back, but he could have easily been dead. And the name of the game for each and every one of us is to never judge anybody. Because you could say, he could have come on here and said he was a recovering opiate addict, and you would have all these stories about him and this and that, which all would have been wrong. And I just want you to think about that person you're walking by instead of walking up to. That person you're giving $1 to in the form of a handout instead of a hand up. And just love like crazy, then love more. That's what this show's about. That's why he's on here. That's why this little whippersnapper figured out an app to digitize what it is that I do so just naturally, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So when he grew up, I met a homeless guy, and I brought him home, and he stayed for like 5 years, right? We had two walk-in closets, but kids never sleep with their parents anyway. So what I did was I made the closets their bedrooms. I let the homeless guy have the bedroom, and then Adrian and Courtney slept in bed with me until finally Denise showed up and got us out of that.
Too many people in the bed. So
there were too many people. But, that's been our life. And you know what? People can say that's bad. And I'll guarantee you one thing right now, you will never find a heart like he and his brother and his sister. Because I'll tell you what, these kids learned empathy from the ground up, a real deal. And that's why he showed up down at Colorado State Penitentiary and was literally standing there crying for those prisoners instead of judging them. That's what I want for all of you, to be able to do that. Not only to have the time and the bandwidth to be that compassionate, but also to have the time and bandwidth to go out and make change in the world. He's on the President's Council. Man, I'm telling you what, I believe wholeheartedly that you work locally and think globally. but man, you got to do it in your own home, in your own backyard, before you go out even into your city or sitting here looking at CNN all day long and telling everybody how you'd run this country. Really? Come on, let's run our own lives, right?
Absolutely.
That was a pretty good rant.
Yeah. Like that.
Welcome to the Home-Based Business Show.
Yeah.
But I think you look at any one of us and we carry ourselves around a certain way. You wouldn't necessarily know that Mark had gone through something like that. You wouldn't know that Tom, has almost 20 years of sobriety.
Almost 20,
29.
Almost 30, sorry. Almost 30.
but that's almost 20.
It's all right.
Shut up.
That's awesome.
So, but you wouldn't know it. And what we've got to learn how to do is, number one, to really listen and meet people where they are. And number two, to not, to carry those things that are our difficulties around like a flag, because that allows other people to do the same thing and to get out of their own head and out of their own shame and out there into the light.
Yeah, that's all it boils down to.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another break. We love breaks, so we're going to take a break right now. We're going to talk about contactmapping.com a little more. I just know this whole show on the radio with Ted Anderson would get nauseating if I did it that way, but we don't have commercials here, so we have to talk about something. Might as well talk about that. We'll be right back. And we're back. I love that. All right, good. All right, back to contact mapping. What do you really think of it?
Well, connecting today is the most important thing. People don't have to go into offices anymore. People don't have to have a lot of people as far as in one room anymore. Everything is going to be done on your phone. Everything from all services moving forward. I'm involved with Amazon, Alibaba. I'm involved with many, many different organizations. We're seeing the vision. We're seeing it coming alive. And it goes back to, you could have products and services, but how are you going to get it out there? How are we going to produce it to move inventory? This is what I do best, Tom. Tom, if there's a need for a product and services, if it's sitting on the shelf, you're losing money.
Yeah.
That is what we do. How can we do that? Why is any product sitting on a shelf today or sitting in a warehouse? People say, oh, you got to move the merchandise first and then we'll pay you. No. You got to be able to move the merchandise to get the money coming in to support your company. So that's what I do, is I try to find the niches of what people need today. Contact mapping will help those niches, connecting the dots of what is needed, from inventory to supply chain, to from the beginning of an operation all the way to the end, and keeping it going and flowing properly today. And so I see contact mapping as being the next frontier of a social media side. I see contact mapping being the same thing that everybody does today, is that business card. Hi, how you doing? What are you doing? How are we doing? And here's my card. You have it right there.
So here's the thing. Michael Burnoff sent me a note a couple of weeks ago about a book, because he knows I read all the time and he reads all the time. So he told me about the book and I stuck it in his contact map, right? And this morning, Adrian sent me a note about a book, about some venture capitalist that had read this book and it changed his life. He said, Dad, you ever heard of this book? I go, yeah, I know I've heard about that. I don't know, but let me look at it. So nowhere on earth would you be able to find, I don't care if you're on Facebook, I don't care if you're on LinkedIn, I don't care if you're on MySpace or Snapchat. I don't care who you are, you would have never been able to get in the same contact that book and Michael Burnoff. No chance. But all I did was pop the name of that book into my database, pop Burnoff. I sent Burnoff a note this morning and said, tell me more about that book. My son just mentioned something. But the fact is, you are finally able to Google yourself, right?
Absolutely.
That's what's so cool about it.
Absolutely.
Your database is the most valuable thing on the planet that you abuse. You know stuff that no one knows about other people. We talked about Boomin, Michael Boomin, a few minutes ago. Nobody knows that his name is really, his name is Michael Boomin. Everybody calls him Boomin. His buddy Ode, something Ode. The other, I can't think of the guy's name. That's his nickname.
Eric is his name.
Eric. His name's Eric. So you're walking up and he knows you don't know him the minute you call him Eric. And anybody that really knows me, that grew up with me, I know when somebody grew up with me. When I get a voicemail that says Virgil. What? Virgil? Yeah, that's my middle name. And all my dopey friends, just because they knew I hated it when I was a little kid, that was my name. So everybody called me Virgil. All my old childhood friends called me Virgil. which is, if you call me Virgil, I'm going to come to your house. No, it's the true story. But that's it. It's just those little things that make all the difference, right?
Absolutely. And you know, when you address somebody and you show them that you care and you give them an opportunity to move forward with what you're passing on, and you say, hey, Tom.
We are back. It is the Tom Chenault Show, and I am here with Marc Cohen and Adrian Chenault, who I love with all of my heart for a couple of reasons. He's my son, and I've known him almost all of his life, but at the end of the day, he just tapped me on the leg to get us back off the hard break. So that's very, very cool. Thank you, Adrian.
You're very welcome.
Jiminy Christmas. Yeah. So we're talking about, this is the final segment. What do you want to talk about, Mark? And how do people find you? I've got people asking me that.
I just want to say you could direct message me on Facebook. You could direct message me on LinkedIn. Mark at BuyDirectDev, BuyDirect, D as in David, EV.com. And love to reach out and help as many people as I can. Tom, what just happened just now is I praise you to see what Adrian did, because I reach out to my son Asher all the time. He gives me advice. My son Asher's 33. I get chills just thinking about it. When he gives me information that I don't know, or gives me information that I can learn from, it makes me feel so great. And so that is the most important message that I see that we can carry on our age group, okay? To appreciate what our kids are going through, to appreciate, because we gave them, you know, the stamp of approval, and they go out in this world today, and when you see the results come back like that, and you see the results of his marriage and his 3 grandchildren, and I have 3 grandchildren, and you see that, and it's so humbling to see our generation move on forward to the next level of creating that global legacy. You know, everybody says to me, oh, global legacy, creating memories. The best thing in the world is seeing the pictures come back on Facebook year after year, and seeing it every day, the following year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, see the bursts. That to me is a wonderful blessing that I know my parents didn't have.
That's very, very cool. And here's another example. My coffee shop. I go to this coffee shop every day. The owner of that place is listening right now. And her name's Emily. Her brother is Jason. He lives over in Japan. I got to Japan. I'm like a fish out of water. I immediately called Emily, said, give me Jason, her brother's information. And the next thing you know, those people went halfway across the country to come and have breakfast with me as a result of connection, influence, and trust. That's all we have. That's what your major asset is. And if you say, I'm not trustworthy, you got a problem. If you don't have influence, you can get it. You don't want Marc Cohen for textiles probably, or whatever it is he does, you know, all the stuff. You want his Rolodex. People, that's your most valuable asset. And if you can get that and you learn how to really, really use it and actually become a person of impeccable follow-up. In the car, I asked him, I said, how are you around follow-up? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, I am the best at follow-up.
We don't have anything unless we follow up.
Yeah.
Okay? I leave a meeting, and I'm so grateful for the meeting. I thank them. And you know what? If they don't respond back, what's going on? Why not? What happened? So I'm really, 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 it's the most powerful thing in life is the follow-up. Because if you don't have follow-up, you have nothing. Think about it. If you don't have anything of value, why would you spend your time if you're not following up? Why would you spend your time if you're not following up? That's the number one lesson that I teach people of everything in life. You know, Tom, you have to go to a doctor. You go to a doctor, if you don't follow up, and if the doctor doesn't follow up with you, why are you going to the doctor?
Right? People are scared to death of it,
right.
though, man.
So let's take a look at the healthcare issues today. Okay? Everybody is struggling. Everybody is unaware, and you have this cloud over everybody of what's going to happen. Everyone's panicking. You don't need to panic. You need to get educated. You need to educate. And you need to educate by asking questions. You need to educate more than anything else of what you want to do with your life moving forward. That's what I do, mainly, more than anything else, is get to the right doctors.
Yeah.
Get to the doctors. How many times do you go to a doctor's office and the doctor says, okay, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, you're out, in and out. Did you ask the doctor any questions? What are you there for? Most people don't. Oh, the doctor's God. Okay, that's it. You know what? He goes home to his kids every day. And you know what? He has the same problems that we have. So you got to ask questions. You got to be educating yourself on the awareness of continuing your own vessel of what we have today. The vessel is the most important thing.
This is documented. You live like 25% longer if you argue with your doctor.
Yeah.
And so whenever I talk to anybody, I go, do me this favor. I know you love the guy. I know you think he's the smartest guy in the world. Argue with your doctor. I am begging you. And this show, I'm telling you how boring this show is. You want to know how to show there's this? I'm watching Mary Ann having like 5 conversations with her friends in the back. She's back there laughing.
Are we good?
No, we're still on the air for another 45 seconds. So it's very, very great having a producer like Mary Ann, even if she's not listening. You know, we must be doing great. We love you guys, and thank you for listening. It's been unbelievable. And, you know, we brought him in because we knew he was going to provide this kind of content. And if you're looking for a multi-level marketing tip, the tip is the same. Increase that circle of influence. And when you say nice to meet you, actually mean it. Actually write down the things about them that nobody else knows. So in a couple of years, you meet him again and you say, how's your daughter, Susie? She must be 13 now. That person swallows their cigar. That's what happens. We'll be back next week. It'll be a great show. We've got Donald Trump coming on. We'll see you then.
Great.
There you go. That's so good.